Where will Will Levis play football, the quarterback for Kentucky? You could make the argument that he might have the strongest arm in the 2023 NFL Draft. And Lance Zierlein, by no surprise, comped him with Jay Cutler. There's going to be some people out there that comp him with Jay because of the arm strength and because of the I don't give an F attitude at times that he displays. But to me, Will Levis has the upside of somebody like a Josh Allen. When you look at the athletic traits, Josh Allen was also not very good coming out of Wyoming. Whoever ends up taking this young man needs to realize that he might not be ready to play in year one. He might need a year to sit. And I do think if he's given a year to sit, he's going to have more success. With the Wildcats, he played in the pro-style passing scheme, which required full reads. And I like the idea when you come out of college and you've already been able to run a pro-style offense. To me, though, what teams run a pro-style offense? That could be a big contributor to who ends up taking him. Also, when you look at his numbers from last season, 65.4% completion percentage, 2,406 yards, 19 touchdowns, 10 interceptions. I do think, though, it's a tale of two tapes. And what do I mean by that? When he first started the season, he was 100% healthy. Then he ended up getting banged up a little bit, and the numbers, his production, his running ability went drastically down. He is a big, strong quarterback, and if you haven't seen the pictures of him on social media, dude's ripped. And I don't know if I've ever seen a quarterback as ripped as this, but I also see somebody who's not afraid to put in the work. Sure, he's going to have mayo coffee. Sure, he's going to eat bananas with the peels on, and it's a little bit weird, but Will Levis definitely has a lot of upside. So in terms of which teams could potentially be interested in getting him, I have the Carolina Panthers at number 1, the Houston Texans with the 2nd overall pick. Could the Indianapolis Colts end up taking him at number 4? The Las Vegas Raiders actually have him on a visit on April 3rd. The Tennessee Titans, they are an aggressive team. I still think that they could be looking for a QB. Could they trade up to get him? And then the Washington Commanders, if you're sitting there in the NFC East, you're like, man, there's Dak, there's Daniel Jones, there's Jalen Hurts, and we got a guy named Sam Howell. So for all those reasons why I think Washington could end up taking him. So Will Levis, very interesting prospect, no doubt about it. Got extreme high upside, but the floor should scare the hell out of a lot of teams. So if I'm an organization, I'm going to be like, all right, I've had a lot of success in the past, which is why, well, where do you think Will Levis is going to be playing football in 2023? Because for all those reasons I just mentioned, I believe Will Levis ends up suiting up with the Indianapolis Colts. And the reasons why I say that is you go back and you look at the history of Indy. You go back and look at Chris Ballard. You go back and you look at Jim Irsay and a lot of the things that they've done well. They've built through the draft, and I think that that's what this team needs. And you've had Peyton Manning. I'd say he's pretty good. They drafted Andrew Luck. Yes, he retired early, but still a very successful quarterback. There's also reports swirling around that the Colts are interested in Will Levis, and to me, Will Levis is going to be the 3rd quarterback off the board. So whether Indy stays at 4 or they go up to get him at number 3, still a lot of questions remain. Levis, though, and his stats at Kentucky in 24 starts, he had 65.7% completion percentage, 5,232 yards, 43 touchdowns, and 23 interceptions. Also, if I'm the Indianapolis Colts, I'm going to be like, all right, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and over again. So the Colts starting quarterback since 2019, as you can see on screen, they tried to bring in veterans. They tried to trade for guys, and you're in the top 4 for a reason. It simply did not work out. So if you believe that you can get another strong-arm quarterback, I'm not saying he's going to be Andrew Luck, I'm not saying he's going to be Peyton Manning, but if you believe you have the right team to put the talent around him, and if you believe in a pro-style system, because that's what Indianapolis runs with running back Jonathan Taylor, I think all of those reasons why Will Levis ends up going to the Indianapolis Colts, whether that be at 4 or they trade up for him at number 3. NFL fans, I don't want you to miss out. If you're looking for the best NFL draft content on YouTube, I want you to subscribe and turn on the notifications. Whether you're looking for analysis on Bryce Young, C.J. Stroud, Will Levis, Anthony Richardson, if you're looking for more mock drafts, heck, we even have player interviews that we got at the Combine. If you're a die-hard fan in terms of NFL draft content, I want you to hit that big old red button that says subscribe. So now let's talk about the top 4 draft quarterback prospects out there. You have Bryce Young from Alabama, which many people regard him as being the number 1 quarterback in this year's class. Then you have C.J. Stroud out of Ohio State. Depending on who you talk to, some teams are worried about because he's played at a friendly Ohio State system. Other teams look at him as being a very pro-ready QB. Will Levis, an athletic freak, great arm talent, 24 years old. But if you're looking to take upside, would you just take Anthony Richardson from Florida, who is a few years younger? When you look at their numbers from their past season, Bryce Young, 64.5% completion percentage, 3,328 yards, 32 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. You compare that to C.J. Stroud, and Stroud beats him out in completion percentage, beats him out in yards, 41 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. Though I'd make the argument that Ohio State had a lot more talent offensively than the Crimson Tide did this past season. And now you go over to some more teams in the SEC with Will Levis, who completion percentage is solid, yards a little bit lower, but teams aren't drafting him based on his production. They're basing it off of what his upside is. And if you want to talk about upside, then you got to talk about Anthony Richardson. 53.8% completion percentage, 17 touchdowns, 9 interceptions, but he also had close to 650 rushing yards. So my question to you is this. I believe that there is a consensus top 4 quarterbacks in the 2023 NFL Draft. What I want to know from all of you, because this is what we do here at Chat Sports, who's the best one? If it's Bryce Young, type BY. If it's C.J. Stroud, type CJ. What about Anthony Richardson, AR? If you think it's Will Levis, then type WL. I do think different people are going to answer that question very differently. If you're an NFL GM, if you're a scout, if you and me were sitting on the couch looking at these guys' tape, I think if you want the player who has got the highest floor, that's Bryce Young. If you were to say, Mitch, you got to bet your entire house on which quarterback prospect you think is not going to bust, I'll say Bryce Young, because to me, mentally, he's the sharpest one out of those other players. If you're telling me, okay, who do you think is actually the most pro-ready? Well, that'll actually go with C.J. Stroud. Playing at Ohio State does scare some people, though. I look at the arm strength, I look at the accuracy, I look at the height, the weight. The biggest thing that scares me with Bryce Young is his size. If he was bigger, he'd be the number 1 player. With Stroud, you have all the things that NFL teams look for in that prototypical quarterback. He's got great production. Yes, he's played on great teams, but the most pro-ready guy, in my opinion, is C.J. Stroud. If you're an NFL scout that says, all right, I want a player who's got the strongest arm, I can work with everything else. I can make his mechanics better. I can get his footwork down. He didn't have the best team all around him at Kentucky. If you're looking for strongest arm, I'm going to go with Will Levis, because to me, I've seen a lot of strong arm quarterbacks. If you're an NFL GM and you're like, man, what the Buffalo's Bills did with Josh Allen, they were patient. They waited with him. If you think you can do that and you can find yourself another Josh Allen, I think you're crazy not to. The question is, though, can you actually make Will Levis Josh Allen? And then the final player here, it's Anthony Richardson. If you want the most athletic quarterback in this year's class, and you're going to build your offense around him, because if I'm building an offense, that's going to be a run-first offense. Good luck trying to stop a running back and Anthony Richardson. You're going to look at the completion percentage, and it's going to scare a lot of people. Go look at the pro day. Go look at the NFL Combine. Imagine if he actually had some better talent around him on offense, better offensive play calling. And if you give him a year to mature, there's not many quarterbacks that I can say can be top 3, top 5. Richardson does have that upside. He definitely also, though, should scare the hell out of people, because he could be out of the league in 2 or 3 years. Now, also, friendly reminder here. I want you to subscribe to Chat Sports. This is our main channel. Over 330,000 subscribers over there. We go live every single year for the NFL Draft. We get the picks before you see them on TV. Hell, there's sometimes we're 2, 3, 4 picks ahead of what you see on television. We've been the number 1 most watched draft coverage for 5 straight years. I'm going to prove to you again why we're going to be that. So go subscribe at the link that you see below, youtube.com/chatsportstv.